There are some places in this world that are magical, and when you visit them they leave a lasting impression. An impression that burns away in your memory, and all you can think about is heading back to visit these fantastic places. And the landscapes and location that are going to be in this video is one of those places that every time I go to this place it just makes me want to come back as soon as I've left it. So what could I do about this? Most of the times my trips are 1, maybe 2 days long. I really wanted to spend more time in this landscape and immerse myself in the hills and glens, rivers and beaches. So this video is a longer one than usual, but it's visiting this special place, and hopefully over the next, 50 minutes or so, you'll enjoy and join me on this magical trip through this magical landscape, one of my favourite places in the whole wide world. Hello folks, what time are we at? 8:30, and I think I've been driving about three and a half hours. And on this video, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm going to be visiting one of the most beautiful places in Scotland. Now wait a minute, no, probably one of the most beautiful places in the whole world, if I'm being honest in it. I might be a bit biased, but certainly one of my favourite places. And this is the start of a kind of epic adventure for me, certainly for these vlogs. This is going to be a trip which is going to last 7 or 8 days, maybe a bit shorter depending. Depending if we make it to the end. And there's 2 of us going. I'm meeting another chap who actually invited me along a few weeks ago on this trip, and I'm hoping that the weather's going to stay like it is at the moment, because you can probably see the sun is shining through. There's not a cloud in the sky. And the drive up has just been lovely, absolutely glorious. So I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to take a wee donder over to this wall and just have a look at the view, because I can see where I'm going, or I can see part of where I'm going for the first time. And yeah, I'm getting quite excited. So I'm going to shut up, and I'll either bring you back later on, or you'll see me tomorrow morning at the start of our epic adventure. Right, let's go for a wee donder.
The only thing that comes to mind when television came close was the Riker cartoon, Spitting Image, and the savage...
So a wee bit more driving was required, but before long I was reaching my destination. And that night I met up with my pal, we got ourselves sorted, and a few hours later we were at the start point of our adventure. What a spot. I have a seat here, I think. Oh, hello folks. And I think the last time you saw me I was in the car saying we were coming to do a long adventure, and we're at the start point now. And my companion is Tom. I'll introduce you to Tom later on. But since I did the bit to camera in the car, there's been lots of logistics and getting cars sorted out and making sure we've got all our gear, all our camera gear, all our camping gear, and we're in Skye, the Isle of Skye, one of my favourite places in the whole wide world. And we're right at the northern tip. We've been kind of walking around this sort of peninsula, the Ruahunish Peninsula, I think it's pronounced. And it's just an amazing place. I don't know if you'll see behind me, but I don't know if they're gannets or, not gannets, they're cormorants or shags down there, but I've been sitting watching them, and there's been seals, and it almost looks like it's a river here. The flow of the tide is just amazing, and it's obviously converging out there somewhere. I believe this is a good place to see lots of wildlife and whales and these sort of things. But anyway, we're not here to do that. Well, we are. We're going to enjoy that if we see it. But the task over the next 6, 7, 8 days is to walk the length of the island from this northern point right to the southern point. So yeah, I hope you're going to enjoy this. I hope we're going to enjoy it. And yeah, I'm going to sit here for a bit longer, and then we're going to start our adventure and start walking southwards. But what a place to start. It had taken us a wee bit of time to reach this point. There's no roads at this very northern point of Skye, so we'd walked out here. So we spent a bit of time just loitering, enjoying this start point of the route, watching the tide and the wildlife before heading back and starting our journey south. And our first port of call, once we'd got up the cliffs, was the old Coast Guard lookout, which is now a bothy. So we headed for that, and for our first bite to eat. It was a lovely wee spot.
I don't want to move it so it's not easy shot.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Well, this is the, I think they call it the lookout. It's the old lookout post. It's now been converted into a small bothy, and it's right in the top of the cliffs. It's some of the shots you'd have seen with us walking back from the northern point. You'll have seen the cliffs in this wee building on top, and what a spectacular place it is. The mist's just clearing now. You'll not be able to see it. I'll put some footage up, but the mist's coming and going over the top of the cliffs and over this bothy. So a lot of people start here. This is I don't know if this is the official start point. It's not an official trail, so you can start wherever you want, but a lot of people start at this point, and we've maybe added 2 or 3 hours on by going down to the most northerly point and coming back up, which is fine. It was nice. It was really nice down there. So we've come in, had a bite to eat. Now the next part of the journey is to head down across and along the side of some sea cliffs to a hotel. There's a hotel, an isolated hotel called Flurigary, and we might have something to eat there before heading on. We're going to try and get onto the mountainous part of the trail, which is the Trotternish. It's called the Trotternish Ridge, and there's a fair bit of ascent in that, so we're hoping to get up there today. The time is 11:45, and we've been on the go since about 9:15. So we'll sit here for a bit longer, get the backpacks on, and head down to this hotel. But this is just very, very atmospheric. Wow. Woo. Tell you what, it's a long way down. It's straight down. These cliffs are just fantastic, and since we've left the lookout bothy, it's just been dramatic scenery walking along the tops of these cliffs, and there's sea stacks and caves, and today the ocean's really quite flat. I don't know if you can see, there's almost no horizon. The mist's kind of rolling about, and it kind of makes it otherworldly feeling. But it's just absolutely spectacular. So yeah, we've left the lookout bothy. The next major stop is going to be the hotel Flurigary, and we're not sure whether we're going to get anything to eat there. We're really hoping we're going to get something to eat. Tom's just behind the camera doing some photography, because yeah, there's so many places to stop and take pictures of. It's absolutely glorious. So I'm going to shut up now and head on. I'll wait for Tom, and then we'll head along this coastline before dropping down to the hotel. Fantastic. As I mentioned, the scenery along this starting point of the route was just fantastic. Lovely sea cliffs, and the path follows the coast round, and the first stop, as I said, was the hotel, and we made our way down there over the next 9 or 10 kilometres, and we actually stopped in Florigari for a wee bite to eat, but a note to the wary, don't expect burger and chips when you go here. Anyway, after having a bite to eat, we headed on, and we were going to try and get up onto the ridge to try and save a wee bit of time for day 2. But before we did that, we needed to stop and stock up with water because we weren't too sure what the water supply or access to water would be like once we got up high. So the first lock-in we came to, we decided to head down and fill our water bottles, and hopefully that would keep us going for our evening tea and also breakfast the following morning. Sound like that?
Not quite like that.
After filling up our water bottles, our bags were a little bit heavier, but I wasn't really thinking about that. We were starting to ascend a bit higher now and heading into more mountainous terrain, and I was really quite excited about this. We were trying to gain some height and get up onto the Trotternish Ridge, and the landscapes around here are just fantastic. And I tell you what, they didn't let me down. It really was special, especially in this atmospheric fog. A magical place to visit. Oh, right. Hi folks, it's me. I'm like a ninja because the midge, they're ferocious. And we've come up, you've probably seen some B-roll, come up from Florigari, and we stopped at the lock-ins to get some water because we're heading up to the ridge for a number of reasons. One is, I don't know if you can see them swarming around me, the midges are eating us alive. It's got a mouthful for them, even though because I've got this on, they're still getting in. Anyway, we're going to try and get up high to get a breeze to see if it gets rid of the blighters, because they are just horrendous. And yeah, what a place. Anyway, we're near the Needle and the prison, round about the Kerrang area. And if you can see what I can see up here, I'll pan into some footage. It's so atmospheric, it really does feel like Jurassic Park. I know it's a cliche, but we're heading on here, and if we don't get eaten alive, we will be reporting back later on. Right, Tom, shall we get going? The footage doesn't really show it, but there was very little wind, and the midge were absolutely horrendous at this point. So we did stop to try and get some footage, but we were keen to keep walking and try and find a camp spot that afforded us a little breeze to keep the little blighters at bay. But I tell you what, it was just absolutely gorgeous, and although we'd done a fair few miles today and we're probably both feeling pretty tired, that landscape kept us going, and we plodded on in search for our first campsite of the trip. Look at this. Absolutely stunning. We're heading up there somewhere. There goes Tom. Down there and up there. Beautiful. Right, let's go. So up we headed. We were hoping to get a spot on the top of the first mountain, which sits above 400 metres, and as you can see from here, there was a fair few decent looking spots we could have camped, but we thought we'll get to the top and keep on going. But you know what, we couldn't find anything, and we didn't turn back, so we kept on going down the hill. And at this point here, we're on a nice wee escarpment which had a breeze, so we decided to pitch the tents here. And I tell you what, I was glad to get that backpack off, because my knee was actually giving me a wee bit of jip at this point, and I was really quite concerned about it, but more about that later on. Right, well, as you can probably see, that's the tent up. God, I'm quite tired. We I think I maybe said to the camera, or said to you guys, that we're going to be camping up on the first proper hill we went up. It's about 470 metres, and there was a few lovely camp spots, nice flat bits of grass, but we made the mistake of thinking, oh, let's get to the summit, we'll go to the top and we'll get a spot there. But of course we got to the summit, and then from there on it was just this blanket bog, so we didn't go back, we just kept coming down, and we're at this lovely spot now. We've dropped back down to this Bielacher. We're on the escarpment, you can see it behind me. I'll maybe tell you what's caused this later on in the video, but anyway, we've finally got the tents pitched up. It started to get a bit dark. I don't know if you can tell that from the footage or not, but it's past sunset. It's 8:30 and the clouds in, which has made it quite nice today. I must admit, I've had a few, various sort of feelings about this trip, because I don't tend to do very many multi-day trips, and I've had a history of bad knees, believe it or not, when I have done them. So my knee has been playing up a wee bit today, but hopefully I'll get some sleep just now, get some food down me, maybe take a couple of ibuprofen, and I'll be all set for the morning. But yeah, I've been quite excited, apprehensive. That's the first day done. I think Tom's been measuring it, and I think we did about 16 miles today, so some amazing scenery. I hope you've enjoyed some of it, and we'll see what tomorrow brings, so I'll see you in the morning. It's 21 in the morning. I tell you what, it is, I don't know if you can hear that, I can only see the tent moving about beside me. It's blowing a hoolie. It's a lot windier than forecast. Maybe high pressure. We're going to get sunshine today, and I'm not getting much sleep with this wind. We did pitch on top of the escarpment. That was mainly to try and get a bit of breeze, because the bridges were bad earlier on. But yeah, a bit breezier than forecast. I really hope to try and get some shut out. But it's making blackened. Oh, right. Let's turn the lights out and see if I can get some sleep, because I really do with some sleep. See you in the morning. Hi guys, morning. Oh, it's just cleaning the lens. Right. Oh. Right, it is, well, it's still windy. 6:30. Yeah, 6:30. And that wind has just kept on going all the way through the night, and I think at about, well, most of yesterday we were praying for a wind and a breeze, because we were being eaten alive by the midge. I think I maybe said that earlier on, but tell you what, we've certainly got our wish. It is blowing a hoolie. I think I just checked the forecast, and lower down, I looked up the forecast for Portree, which is at sea level, and the wind level down there's a good 20 miles an hour. So I think it's probably 25, 30 up here. Certainly buffeting the tent about a fair bit. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but anyway, today is a big day. It's always, or most people that talk about the Skye Trail say day 2, when you're doing it north to south, is the hardest of the days, because there's quite a lot of ascent, and we're on the ridge now, and there's a lot of mountains to go over, which I'm quite excited about, to be honest with you. Whether I'll be saying that after, I don't know, about 1200 metres of ascent, my legs may be protesting later on, but we'll see how we go on. It is forecast to be sunny today, and this wind is going to be our back, which is really quite lucky, because it's coming in from the north, which will keep it a bit cooler as well, which should be quite good. So let's get up and see what the day brings, eh? Right, coffee time. Yeah.
Well, as you can see, the wind certainly wasn't dying down, and it made making the coffee interesting and getting the jet boil out of the wind to try and get it going. But eventually I did that, and we sat in the tents for a bit, but we knew we had to move on, and eventually it was time to carefully take the tents down. It would have been a bit of a disaster at this point if either of us had lost our tents due to the wind. But you can see here it was fairly blowing, and it was a good test for the tents. I've had my tent out in worse, but anyway, the earplugs were certainly welcome the night before, although they didn't stop me not getting much sleep. Anyway, tents away. Now it was time for the big day over the Trotternish Ridge, all those peaks, and it's an interesting feature. There are no Munros or Corbetts on it, and I've been guilty of never being up here before, so I was really looking forward to this part of the trip. Although I knew there was 6 or 7 mountains to go up and descend, it was an undulating ridge to say the least.
Oh, right, folks. I think this is us on the trail now. We, as you probably saw, we struck camp, and we've been walking for maybe half an hour along the escarpment that you saw behind the tents. We've put a good few kilometres in, but now is the pull up to the first real high point. We've done one hill, which was just over 400 metres, but this sits over 600 metres, and once we're up this, there's various ups and downs over numerous mountains. This is called Ben Edra, and I think the last one's Hartaval. I'll need to check my pronunciation of that though before dropping down to the store. It's really windy still, but you know what? There's no midge, and I think this wind, in fact that's clear, that's the first time that summit's been clear, so fingers crossed that wind's going to keep the clouds away. But yeah, it's been nice. What do you think, Tom? Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, well, good.
Not bad, eh?
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, it's Tom. I've been rude. I've not introduced you to Tom. So Tom's been out in a few videos with me. You probably know Tom, but yeah, I'll put the other videos in the description below. But yeah, it's been good so far. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's been good. We got our wish, which is wind.
A bit too much though. They could have dropped it just a
I
wee
know,
bit.
it's either no wind and midges or gale force winds and tents almost been blown over.
Yeah. I'm glad to be walking now, and the wind's kind of at our back, isn't it? So
Yeah.
shall we start the tackle this, or?
Yeah, looking forward to getting on top of that and over the other side.
It looks impressive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll be saying that in 5 minutes. Right, let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Whew, right, here we are at the summit. We made it up of Ben Edra. I don't know if you can see it behind me. There's the trig point. It's cloudy, but I tell you what, super windy up here. If I go over here, you might be able to hear it on the microphone. Woohoo, look at this. Oh, that wind coming straight down there. Look at that. Lovely. So we're hoping it's going to clear. Probably hear me a bit better now. Hoping it's going to clear. We need to drop off. This is us up high, and we stay high for quite a while. I tell you what, it seems to be brightening up. I'm quite hopeful that we're going to get maybe get some sunshine later on. Dries off. As I always said, when the sun comes out, it always just yeah, it makes it a bit better. Anyway, the camera's getting blown about in my hand. It's that windy. I'll come down here a bit. So I'm out of it. There we go. There's Tom doing a wee bit to camera over there. Yeah, so the ascent up here wasn't too bad. There was paths coming and going. You're missing out if you're only doing the Munros. I was going to say that most Munros have got paths up them, but this doesn't. And I've never been up here, so I'm guilty of this. But what a place it is! There's no Corbetts or Munros, but this ridge is something else. I think it's something to do with the geology. Landslip. I'll confirm that in the voiceover. But yeah, I think it's going to clear. Anyway, I'm going to put this off, have a wee drink at the summit, and then we'll crack on to the next one. Right, let's go.
Onwards.
So we left the summit, and this was the first summit above 600 metres, and there was a fair few of those to come. And as I said, the Trotternish Peninsula and the Trotternish Ridge is essentially being caused by a massive landslip. I think it's the biggest one that's ever happened in Britain millions of years ago, which caused the land to slip away, and formations like the Kerrang and the Old Man of Storr, which we'll come to, were basically formed by this massive landslip with the lavas, and I'm not exactly sure of the geology, but something to do with fault lines and lava flows and yeah, stuff like that. Go and Google it if you want to hear more. But anyway, turns it into a fantastic place, but it also is quite exposed, as you can see, and the wind was blowing.
Wow! Hopefully you can see me. But you don't want to be looking at me, you want to be looking at this. Look at that! This is what we've been missing when we've been walking along with our heads in the clouds here. Starting to lift now, and that's what we've got ahead of us now. But the views are fantastic. The wind is even more fantastic. Fantastical. It's blowing an absolute hoolie. I don't know if I said, but there was maybe high pressure all week. And this isn't winds of high pressure, I tell you. Anyway, before I get blown back, I'm going to crack on. See, we've got another 3 or 4 peaks to get up before we drop down to the Old Man of Storr. Right, let's go. Ooh.
What you can maybe tell from that piece to camera was it was that windy I was actually struggling to talk and also to keep my beanie hat on. It was almost blowing off. So when we spotted a stone wall dike at the Bealach, we decided to take advantage of it to get a wee bit of shelter, and we huddled ourselves down here whilst the sun was out and made ourselves a coffee and a bite to eat. But before long, the clag was rolling in again and it was time to get cracked on. We still had a fair bit of distance to cover today if we were to keep on track for the days ahead. And yeah, off we set, back up yet another hill and another slope.
Oh, we're a wee seat here, and we're the clouds coming and going now. We stopped for a bite to eat, which you probably saw, just behind a stone dike, because as I said before, the wind is not fantastical, it's bloody brutal. It must be 30 to 40 miles an hour easily. But every now and again we're getting wee glimpses of the coastline and the ridge where we've got to go. So this is the second last summit of the ridge, what we're doing anyway. I think it's pronounced Bakarua, and it's 639 metres, and after this we've got to drop down before heading up to the highest point that we'll be on, which is Harteval, which is higher than this. I can't remember the exact height, I think 686 or something like that. But yeah, we've got a bit of a climb. Once we've done that, we skirt round the Store. Now the Store is actually the highest mountain on the ridge, but we're not going up that. We're going to skirt round that to go to the Old Manna Store and through that very atmospheric rock formations down there before dropping down and deciding what we're going to do for the rest of the day. But it's been a tough old pull. We knew this would be a tough day. In terms of paths, it's actually, and underfoot conditions, it's been easier than yesterday, but it's a lot more ascent, a lot more distance, I think, as well. Tom, who's taking some pictures at the moment, has been keeping a track of all the mileage and ascents and all that sort of stuff. But if I can figure it out, I'll stick it up on the on the screen at some point. Let's just hope this clears. As I said, it's every now and again it's getting sunnier and clearing, and then the fog comes in again. But yeah, I'm going to sit here for a while and have something else to eat, and then we'll head on to the final peak of the day, Harteval.
After having another bite to eat, we soon set about heading on, and we were hand-railing the ridgeline. I think that kind of made it a bit windier as well, because the winds were getting whistled in through the north and hitting the ridge and rising up and hitting us. And you can see from the last bit to camera, when you got a wee bit away from the ridgeline, the winds dropped a wee bit, but for navigation purposes we were trying to just keep as close to that ridgeline as possible. And there was plenty of interesting features on the ridgeline, probably caused by that landslip, like this cleft. It really was just fantastic, and we did take a bit of time to stop and investigate them every now and again when we could. But we still had a fair distance to go, so we continued along, trying to keep the ridge on our left. But I must admit, there was one or two times where we did get lost. Sounds a bit strange when you consider it's a ridge and you're hand railing it, but a few of the summits had various ridges heading off them, and once or twice we we took the wrong ridge.
Wow. Well, here we are. We're almost on the final pool, the final mountain. This Harteval is the highest peak we're going up today. You can see it. Unfortunately, it's still in the clouds, and unfortunately, it's still blowing an absolute hoolie. It's been tough going with these big backpacks on, because they act a bit like wind sails, being pushed over. But yeah, we're going to head up here. This looks like the steepest pool as well we've done, so it's going to be tough work. We'll take our time. Tom's just coming down the mountain. He's been taking some photographs, and I'll report back at the top of Harteval. Hopefully, you never know, we might get lucky and it might clear. Stranger things have happened, so let's get cracked on. Whew.
After tackling this steep ascent on the slopes of Harteval, we were soon above those in just the gentle plateau towards the summit and towards what would be the highest point on the whole route, the summit of Harteval at 669 metres, and we were certainly glad when we reached the summit. But as had been the case for most of the day today, The summit was a bit breezy and it didn't afford us any views, so we didn't hang around and decided to head on to see if our luck would change as we headed towards the Old Man of Storr.
Walk up to the stone. Ah, nice wee tour. This looks blue skies, Tom.
Kind of.
Oh man, right. If you can see behind the camera, it's all claggy. And this is the first bit of blue sky we've seen for a while. And we're now on the Storr, but we're not going to the top of the Storr, we're dropping round the shoulder and heading to the Old Man of Storr. It was blowing a hoolie and pretty miserable on the top of Harteville, so we didn't stop there. And it's looking a bit more promising. I think it's downhill now.
Downhill all the way to the road. Oh. No food vans though, no burger vans.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping there'd be a burger van at the store, but we're pushing on now. It's 4:30.
That's
so
been tough though, not much by the way of tracks or footpaths.
Yeah.
Difficult navigation.
Yeah, there was a few times we got lost, but we corrected ourselves pretty quickly, didn't we? You would have thought going along the ridge you wouldn't get lost, but you can. Believe me, we thought we were handrailing the ridge and ended up about 200 metres towards the west coast. But look at the blue skies over there, it's looking good. So
Well, I think as soon as we drop down, we're going to be out of the clag and into the blue.
yeah, I mean, you know what, when we drop down we might be meeting some civilization of which we've seen hardly any today, so
None.
yeah, shall we crack on?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Blue
let's
sky,
go! Lead the way. This looks nice up here, doesn't it?
It is actually blue sky. Come on.
Yeah, go for it. So, thanks to Thomas, who was just there, we are now on the correct path, which skirts round this quarry and then heads down to the Old Man of Storr there. We were almost on a very, very sketchy path just down there, which looked very exciting, but had a long runoff. So, yeah, this path circumnavigates the quarry and then we'll be heading down to the Old Man of Storr. But it's a lovely afternoon now and the wind has died down a wee bit, so yeah, looking forward to getting down there. Woo! Just having a wee rest. Right, let's go. Need to catch up with Tom, he's over there. Right, over and out. I was going to do a very quick bit to camera. I'll swing around and show you the route we were going to do. And it was along these cliffs, along the top of them was that dodgy path, the clouds coming in above them, but you can see it's quite a big drop off, so thanks to Tom, he found the correct pathway. That's some set of cliffs over there. Right, correct way is this way. Let's go to the Old Man of Storr.
After nearly leading us over the path of death, we were soon back on a well-defined path, the first one for quite a while, which took us down towards that magical feature, the Old Man of Storr. After passing, well, the hordes and millions of people at the Old Man of Storr, we were keen to try and get to a certain point to camp up for the second night. So that included crossing or getting down from the Old Man of Storr and then crossing the road and a fair bit of bog trotting and ascent to get up to a possibly magical campsite for the night.
Right folks, we have left the Storr and we've actually made good progress. We're trying to get up to one of the first peaks. There's a line of 3 peaks between here and Portree, and we're attempting to try and get up there for setting camp. We're both pretty knackered, I think. We're past the 14 mile distance wise, but I'll spin you around so you can see where we're going. It's over there, there's Tom going. We'll try to get to the top of that, or near to the top of that, we'll see. We're hoping there's still water in the burn, because I'm out of water now. I've just finished my last bit on that wee rocky knoll up there, and hopefully we'll fill up with plenty of water near the summit. So we'll report back when we get the tents up. Let's go. After filling up our water bottles, there was a nice water source not far from the summit. We found this lovely camp spot. The summit of this hill is around about 350 metres and it sits right on the sea, looking over to the Isle of Raasay and to the western seaboard of mainland Scotland, to places like Applecross, Torridon, all these absolutely other magical places that I always want to go back to. Luckily the weather had improved as well, the winds had dropped and the sun was coming out, and look at that landscape behind me just being speckled by the late evening sun. This was just magical, especially having spent a lot of the day battling our way along the Trotternish Ridge against the gale force winds and not seeing much in the way of views. This was just a delight. I was looking forward to spending the night here, enjoying the sunset and the sunrise. As we got the tent up, and hopefully you can see it's a rather splendid position. And we were knackered, don't get me wrong. When we came off the Old Manor Store, we really wanted to try and get to one of the 3 peaks that lie in the coast here, and we really pushed ourselves. Well, I pushed myself. I think Tom was pushing himself as well to get up here. I tell you what, my God, I'm glad that we did, because this campsite has got to be up there with one of the most spectacular campsites I've ever had. I don't know if you can make it out behind me, but I can look over to Raasay, over to the mainland. There's this lovely deep red lasted a light speckling the landscape. I can see the Torridon Hills over here. Then I've got the store behind me and the sun's going down over here. It's just fabulous. It really is fantastic. So I'm going to get the rest of the stuff set up. I've still got to get my my sleeping bag out and my sleeping pad pumped up. God, I'm struggling to speak, I'm that tired. The time is 8:15 and let's just hope for a spectacular sunset. And you never know, I had a KP Index 5 for the Northern Lights. It's a bit cloudy for that, but might get lucky. But I'm going to shut up this now and get finished setting up. Let's do it. So I finished setting up and I was feeling pretty good. The niggle with my knee that I'd had the day before had gone away and I felt pretty good, although tired and stiff. So I set up my camp and then it was time to get tea on. What a lovely evening. I've just finished my tea. It was quite a big tea. And tonight there's a lovely little breeze. We've not been bothered by the midges at all. Yesterday we were just praying for some wind, and by God did we get it last night and all of today. I mean, that was some trek across the Trotternish Ridge and across those peaks. It's a good outing, one to test you for sure. Keep it for a good day. It was atmospheric today. We did get views at some points, which was lucky. But when we dropped down here and came along here, it was just lovely, absolutely lovely. So this is just a fantastic spot to camp. As I said earlier on, I've got sea views, I've got mountain views. Couldn't really ask for more. It's getting on a bit now though. It's 9:15. I'm just going to chill in the tent now. In fact, I'm probably going to go to sleep pretty soon because we've got another big day ahead of us tomorrow. But hopefully we'll get a nice either pub lunch or big breakfast in Portree at some point. So for now, I'm going to go in there and yeah, I'll see you all in the morning. Good night. Right, morning folks. It is 5:45 in the morning. Sunrise is in, it's at 6:10. So I've just opened up the tent. There's a lovely pink sky. Well, when I say a pink sky, there's a wisp of cloud. And I don't really need to get out of my tent to enjoy it. I'm just going to sit here and watch the sun come up in my nice warm, can't quite see it, my white, nice warm sleeping bag. Then I might get out, if once the sun comes up, might illuminate some of the peaks over from where we've been. So that's where we're at the moment. So let me just show you what I'm looking at, and I'll bring you back later on once I've shown you this. Look at this. Lovely, look at that. Let me just see. There's that nice pink wisp. It's lost a wee bit of its pinkness, but lost focus. It's lovely. Right folks, I've had my breakfast, I've had my coffee. The sun, as you can see, the sun is now up. Looks like it's going to be a glorious day, although there is a bank of cloud to the north. I'm hoping that's going to not come down and block the sunshine, but this is just what we were expecting. Unlike yesterday with those strong winds. So you might not be able to make out, but the great thing about this campsite is now that we've come down past the Trotternish Ridge, which is the northern part of the walk, from this point you can see, well, I'd like to say you could see all the way down to the end, but you can't. You can see to the midsection and to the bit that I'm really excited about, and it's the Cuillin Hills. And as I said, I'm not sure if this camera will pick them out, but you can see the red Cuillin, the sort of rolling hills to the left, and then right over the tent is the Black Cuillin, and we'll be heading down just to the left of the Black Cuillin probably in 2 days' time. But in the meantime, we need to get off this ridge and drop down to the wee village of Portree, and I'm really looking forward to getting a nice breakfast, possibly lunch and coffee there. So time to get this down. I'll report back on the trail where you'll see me next. Right, let's get this tent away. So we packed up our campsite, and what a lovely campsite it was, and we were set off. Again, it was going to be another long day, but initially we had to get over another 2 peaks, one at about 365 metres and the other one at 394, just under the 400 metre mark. Wasn't as demanding as the Trotternish Ridge, but those views were just to die for. Absolutely lovely. Really recommend this part of the route if you've got good weather. It was fantastic. Just what we'd expected before we came. Beautiful. Anyway, before long we were approaching the highest point in this ridge at 394 metres. What a view. It's not bad, Tom, is it?
Oh, unbelievable.
Turn my back to the view now, but just to speak to you guys, This is the highest point on this ridge here. I think I might have mentioned it. There are alternatives. You can continue down the Trotternage Ridge, which is a more direct route to Portree, but I was really keen to come down here, and especially for you being a photographer, I think you were keen to come this way as well, weren't you? Because
and we didn't get disappointed.
Yeah.
It did not disappoint. Views are fantastic.
it is, it's really just, it's beautiful. This is about 400 metres, just under 400 metres, so now we drop down to civilization and Portree, but it's just, this combination, I've talked about it before, mountains, sea, to me you can't beat it, it's just fabulous. So
Definitely the best campsite so far.
so far.
Dry, flat grass, beautiful views.
Good sleep.
Good sleep.
Just a lot of sheep poo.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, the only thing that's going to beat this view is a full breakfast or brunch.
Brunch, burger, all day breakfast. Yes.
Let's go. We can see Portree from here, so we're going to head down and we'll report back, possibly in Portree if we get there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Right.
Dropping down from this high point, the route follows the coastline down and drops round the headland towards the town of Portree. And we had a wee bit of a spring in our step because we were really looking forward to having some, well, proper food, maybe some pub grub after eating all our dehydrated meals and camp foods for the day. It really does give you something to look forward to. And before long we were on the trail and we could see the village ahead of us, and we made it just for the bells going off at 12 noon and the pubs opening. After an hour in Portree and in the pub eating as much as we could, I hate to think how many calories we shoved down our bodies, but we were needing it. The next part of the journey is mainly on tarmac, and we weren't really looking forward to that, but you know what, it was such a nice day, it wasn't too bad going. And at one point we'd followed a wee stream down to get some water and found ourselves at this lovely secluded bay where we stopped for a wee while just to refuel again, because we've been on the go for a few hours after we'd left Portree by this time.
Well, this is what a lovely surprise. We were running low on water coming along the road. There's about a 9 or 10 kilometre section of road which is pretty hard work, to be honest with you. And I'd run out of water, so we found a stream. There was a wee path coming down it, and we thought we needed to descend because we couldn't get to the stream from the road. We kept coming down and we found this lovely little bay and beach, and there's a fantastic little freshwater stream coming down. So we're going to stop here, fill up, maybe have a bite to eat, tend to our feet. I might even have a dip in the pool, cool my hot feet because they do feel quite warm walking on that blooming tarmac. But yeah, it's warm. It's sunny, not going to complain, there's no midges yet, so just going to enjoy it, and then the rest of the walk hopefully will improve once we get to the end of the tarmac and along the hotel. So let's get some water and food.
After having a coffee and some more food at this lovely little bay and stream, we were soon back on the tarmac, heading along to the point where we're going to be staying at the end of the day. And before we got to that point, the road ends and we were looking forward to getting off the tarmac and back onto the trail.
So nice to be in grass again. I don't know if you can see behind me, that's the road that we've been walking down. It is now 5:30 on the nose and we left Portree at 1 AM. 1 AM? Christ, no, it wasn't 1 AM. God, it was 1 PM. So we've been going for 4.5 hours, but we did stop for at least 45 minutes at that wee bay to get water and soothe our feet in the burn. And I tell you what, the tarmac walking has its own challenges. It's a lot quicker, but you're hitting the same points, or contact points on your feet and your joints. So I'm glad to get off it and go onto this track now. So we're nearly there. There's about 3.5 miles to the Slig along this path, which goes along the side of Loch Sligachan, and that's where we're going to spend the night. And the accommodation is going to be a bit different when we get there. So Tom's just having a seat over there, so I'm going to go and join Tom and just have a wee rest before this final push to our night's accommodation. See you in a wee while. Right, we're now on the path to the Sligachan Hotel. Over there is Loch Sligachan, and yeah, just a wee bit to camera. Hopefully you'll pick up okay. I've not got my microphone on. And today, it's just been another fabulous day. The variety in the different stages of the walk, and I suppose the variety that we've had in the weather as well, has been awesome. It's been really good. And today there's not been that many, or nowhere near as much ascent as yesterday, but the amount of walking on tarmac, as I said earlier on, does pose its own challenges. It can be quite demanding. But anyway, this is just lovely. Spin round where we're going to the end of the loch there, and then hopefully get a bite to eat in the pub if it's open before settling down for the night. Well, another fabulous day. It's not over yet. Let's go on a wee bit further and we'll report back soon. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Fantastic. And the Slig, it's just over there somewhere. Beautiful. Oh, yeah, so last stretch over there. Oh, how you feeling, Tom?
Alright, a bit tired, ready for some food and a beer.
And a sit down, I'm looking forward to a sit down, so oh, there's the wind, right. We'll report back if we make it to the pub. It's just over here. Oh, it's so nice to be at the hotel. Well, we're not at the hotel. The hotel is just over there. But you can see behind me, this is the accommodation for tonight. Ta-da! The camper van, we left it halfway. We weren't sure whether we were going to stay in it, but we put all our supplies in it so we could restock here and head on, but it's worked out perfectly. And that is what we're going to do. We're going to stay there, but we're going to go down to the pub. They serve until 8:45. They should have a table for me, but Tom's getting changed at the moment, so once he's done, I want to get changed. And then we'll head to the pub, and that's it. And then it's just been such a fantastic trip so far. That's us halfway, believe it or not. Can't quite believe we're here, so another adventure starts tomorrow, and tomorrow's one I'm really looking forward to, because we go right through this scenery at the back. That's Marsco, and the Cuillin's just capped in clouds at the moment, but what a place. Absolutely gorgeous. Right. Let's go and get some pub grub. Second time of the day. Right folks, so that is the end of day 3. We've been down to the Sligachan and had a lovely bar meal, and we're back in the van now Yeah, it's a bit of luxury in comparison to what we've been experiencing over the last few nights. Doesn't have the views that last night's camp or the night before, to be fair, had, but still not a bad place to be and a good location to start the second half of the adventure, where we head further south. And I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's trip through the heart of the Kulin Mountains, and it should be really good. I'm just hoping the weather stays fine and that we get some views of those mountains. But yeah, how am I feeling? Feeling a lot better. The anxiety's kind of left me because my knee has been fine. It was a wee bit twingy at the end of the first night, but I've been okay. I am very tired. My muscles are all pretty stiff when I walk down to the pub in different shoes, having sat in the van for a wee while. I was even more like an old man than what I usually am. But anyway, I'll report back and see how I'm feeling in the morning. Thanks, it's another long day. We're just about ready to go to bed. I'm going to be sleeping downstairs, and Tom is. Oh, hold on, I'll spin you round. So Tom's over there. There he is. There's Tom. Right? There we go. Let's see if I can focus on you.
I shouldn't do this after such a big burger.
Yeah, I think that's maybe not a good idea. There's I'm not going to do a sick back. How are you feeling, Tom? You okay?
Yeah, surprisingly good. Stiff, as usual.
Yeah.
Stiff legs, should I say?
And you've got the upper bunk today.
Yeah, this is luxury up here compared to my tent. This is lovely.
Yeah, it's
I'm
good.
feeling alright. A couple of blisters coming on.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right. Okay. Well, I hope I don't snore tonight and keep you awake.
Yeah, same. Remember last night that this morning I woke up and my tent was unzipped.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I sleepwalk.
Oh my god. Right. Well.
Yeah.
On that note. Right. Yeah. We'll see you in the morning, and hopefully Tom will still be upstairs by the time we wake up. Yeah. See you tomorrow.